She drained our joint account and moved her new boyfriend into our house. I didn't shout. I didn't send a single angry message. I just said one word. Understood. By the time she realized what I'd done, the damage was already irreversible. It started with a single email. I was deployed in Kandahar, Afghanistan. The sun beat down like a punishment, and everything, sand, smoke, tension, felt heavier than usual. But after 3 tours, I was used to the pressure. What I wasn't prepared for was betrayal. I just finished a grueling 12-hour patrol, my body aching, only craving a few moments of peace and maybe a glimpse of my wife's face on a video call. Instead, I opened my inbox to find her name with the ominous subject, "We need to talk." Nothing good ever follows that phrase. Inside was a message that read like a dagger. "Hey, Jason, I've decided to end things. This life isn't for me anymore. I filed for divorce last week. I also moved my boyfriend, Luke, into the house. It just makes sense since you're not around. Oh, and I emptied the joint account. I needed something to help me get started again. I hope you understand. Alyssa." No warning, no apology, just a cold, flat announcement that my life had been gutted from 7,000 miles away. I sat still, eyes locked on the screen. Around me, people were laughing, shouting, gearing up for their next patrols. But all turned to white noise. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just whispered one word to myself. Understood. Then I stood, walked out of the tent, and made a quiet vow. She thought I'd be powerless. She forgot who she married. I wasn't just a soldier. I was military intelligence. My job was to dissect lies and predict patterns before anyone knew something was coming. She believed I'd be too distracted, too far away, too broken to respond. But this was war, and I knew how to fight it. The next morning, I began my counteroffensive. First, I locked down the finances. The joint account she thought she emptied? It was a decoy. I had moved the bulk of our money months earlier into a secure military savings account, just in case. What she accessed was essentially pocket change, and now even that was flagged for fraud review after I used the right keywords in my report. She wouldn't be seeing a penny of it anytime soon, if ever. Then I called my lawyer, an old vet who'd seen enough backstabbing in both war and marriage to know how to handle this. He didn't say much, just let out a dry chuckle when I explained the situation. That was all I needed to hear. I spent the next week collecting receipts, bank statements, deployment orders, mortgage documents, Alyssa's email, and even footage from our doorbell cam, all saved to cloud storage. But the real weapon? A power of attorney form Alyssa had signed before I left, giving me full legal control over our assets and property while I was deployed. She'd forgotten it existed. I hadn't. She thought the house was hers. But during my last deployment, I had quietly transferred the deed into a military trust. That meant technically, the property was under federal protection. So when my lawyer filed a motion citing fraudulent transfer of marital assets, unauthorized cohabitation, and abuse of the POA, the sheriff's office acted quickly. At 6 a.m., law enforcement knocked on our front door. Luke, half asleep and smug, opened it, only to be met with cold stares and badge numbers. "Sir, you're trespassing on federally protected property. You have 30 minutes to vacate." Alyssa came storming in, shouting that it was her house. "Not anymore," the officer told her. I watched the body cam footage that night from my bunk, drinking burnt coffee and, for the first time in weeks, smiling. My lawyer moved fast. He filed for control over all marital assets under the Service Members Civil Relief Act. That act froze every part of the divorce until I returned and placed everything under federal review. Alyssa couldn't sell, rent, or live in the house. She couldn't even access the few dollars left in that decoy account. All she could do was wait. And I wasn't finished yet. 3 months later, I was back in the States. I didn't visit friends or family. I went straight to court. Alyssa was already there, dark circles under her eyes, flanked by her attorney. Luke wasn't with her. Word was, he disappeared the second lawsuits and trespassing charges started flying. She tried to speak to me. "Jason, can we talk?" I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I looked her in the eye and said, "You're right. You meant for it to be worse." Then I sat next to my lawyer as he slid a thick folder to the judge. Inside, everything: text messages, emails, dating app conversations time-stamped before the divorce was filed, records showing her unauthorized bank transfers, her signature on the POA, deployment papers proving I was in a combat zone, meaning she violated special federal protections meant for active duty soldiers. The judge took one look at the documentation, nodded slowly, and the rest was history. His expression hardened. Then he looked up and delivered 6 words that drained the color from Alyssa's face. "You have a serious problem, ma'am." The judge didn't just dismiss her divorce petition. He invalidated it entirely, citing abuse of legal process and violations of federal protections. But that wasn't all. He granted me temporary emergency custody of the kids and ordered her to vacate our home within 72 hours. My lawyer leaned in and whispered with a smirk, "She's just been legally evicted from your life." Alyssa didn't take it well. She broke down in the courtroom, sobbing, trying to follow me out into the hall. Her words tumbled out through tears. How she never meant to hurt me. How she was confused. How Luke had promised her something solid. I said nothing. I didn't need to, because I'd already set the final blow in motion. Back when I was deployed, a JAG officer introduced me to something called the Uniformed Services Former Spouses Protection Act, the USFSBA. It allows ex-spouses of military members to claim a portion of retirement benefits, but only under strict conditions. Alyssa had violated all of them. Infidelity? Check. Living with another man while still married? Check. Illegally using her power of attorney to wipe out her finances? Triple check. My attorney filed under the USFSBA to strip her of every entitlement. No share of my pension, no health care, no spousal support. The judge approved every single motion. She walked out of that courtroom with nothing. No money, no house, no kids, not even closure. As she turned to leave, face pale and lips trembling, I finally spoke for the first time that day. "You divorced me in an email." I paused. I responded with silence. "That was your only warning." Months passed. I moved to a quiet home by the coast with my 2 kids. I stepped away from combat duty and started working with veterans returning home, helping them rebuild. I never said a bad word about Alyssa to the kids. I didn't need to. Truth has a way of revealing itself, especially to children. Word eventually got back to me. Alyssa had tried to go back to Luke, but he ghosted her. She bounced from couch to couch, posting dramatic Facebook rants about betrayal and forgiveness. No one paid attention. But me? I didn't feel bitter. I felt free. Because sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of peace settling in after the storm.